gets all of our attention.
Mm. So I have a friend, he's actually on Zoom. Hey, Alex, who was telling us that he and his family are going to be traveling to Europe to see the rolling hills, like in The Sound of Music, and raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. Those are some people's favorite things. I like those things a lot. But when we talk about a few of my favorite things, I'd have to put yoga and orgasm at the top of that list. And that's why tonight is called Yogasm. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not alone in that, seeing how many of you there are here in this room and on Zoom. So that's what you came to. So if you were hoping for I don't know what, a tennis lesson or something, you're in the wrong room. But I think you're all in the right place. Hello to Mastery of Relationship online, and those of you in the room in Mastery of Relationship. And hello to all of you that are new and are guests tonight. I'm Alicia Davon.
I'm Erwan Davon.
This is my man.
Yep.
Yep.
It's my woman.
Yep.
Not my sister.
No, definitely not.
That's a popular thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Yes, but not in this case.
Yeah.
Yes. And for those of you we haven't met yet, we've been supporting both singles and couples in having fabulous, like off the charts, romantic lives and sensual lives. That's what we're passionate about. And we've been doing this since 1995. We are relationship coaches, and we've also become the San Francisco Bay Area's foremost Tantra teachers. So there is nothing we would rather be doing right now than being here with you, talking about all things yoga, Tantra, sensuality, you name it. Let's see, we're based here. You know, this is our space. And I think Erwan started our school. He founded our school over 30 years ago. So why don't you say a little bit about your background?
All right.
How'd you get here?
Very challenging childhood. I'll spare you all the details. Super difficult. No memories of my parents together. My mom split when I was very young. My dad was a street brawler, basically. So the model I had of a good relationship, a romantic relationship, was like no model, like sort of a bad model, but more like no model. And the good part of that was that I kind of had to create it from nothing. You know, I kind of had to design it, and very early on, I got into psychoanalysis, and I received 15 years of psychoanalysis laying on the couch 2, 3, 4 times per week. Got a psychology degree. Alicia also has a psychology degree. And, you know, eventually got sorted out enough to, you know, basically relate. I mean, prior to that, relating was difficult. You know, I was literally removed from school with a severe anxiety disorder. I just basically couldn't function. So it was really starting not only from zero, from kind of a negative place. But the therapy got me to a certain place. Then I got into transformational work. I started teaching for an organization that was very popular worldwide in the last century. Some of you might have even heard of it. Has anybody here heard of EST? EST ring a bell? Yeah, a couple of us, right? So I taught for them for a while, lived in a Zen monastery for a while, was director of a yoga ashram for a while. I just kind of put all my chips into relationship and being a human being and developing. And then took a look, you know, once I could function and relate, took a look at what I was the most interested in. And what I was the most interested in started with a W. Can you imagine what that is? Right.
Yeah.
So I then, I had a good habit. One of the things I knew how to do was sort of invest myself in what I was interested in. So I put all my chips into that. I moved into a sex cult. It was like a real cult kind of cult. And, in Northern California, and, people not in the cult were called publics. And like, I gave them all my money, and, it was like a real, cult. Vietnam veteran. And I learned to shoot a gun. And like, it was a whole cult experience, and, like all cults, half of it is really good. The sex was really good, and like the brainwashing was awful. So it was, I hired a deprogrammer and spent a couple of years getting deprogrammed. But after all of that, took everything, the psychology and the Zen and the yoga, and everything, and especially the orgasm practice. Extended orgasm is our specialty for today's event, Yogasm. So, and then Alicia came along, and then it bumped up, to a whole other level. And that's the level I think we're all going to play at today. And we've got a couple of hours together, so let's see where we can go in that time frame. We like to play kind of a fast game, and let's see where we end up in a couple of hours.
Well, I love that combination, right? I mean, it reminds me of when I met Erwan originally, and I was finishing a master's degree. I was training to be a therapist, and I was sort of like, I think there's something a little bit more for me. And I was very interested in that intersection where sexuality and spirituality and psychology meet. And I hadn't really found a place I couldn't even like verbalize it exactly. But I was describing what I wanted to my best friend, Shayna. We were in this visioning circle, this women's visioning circle, right? Where we would talk about what we wanted in colorful terms. And she's like, listening to me, and she's like, you got to meet this guy Erwan. I think he like he does all those things. I was like, take me to this guy. And the night I met him, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, she brought me to a games night that he was leading at his apartment with a bunch of people in his community. And walking into that apartment was like coming on to 5 hits of acid, right? I was like, the lights came on and the colors came on and the vibe was so great. And it was so great to find a place where all of those things were welcome, right? Like the depth and the feelings and the personalness and the spiritual connection and the sexy. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I mentioned mastery of relationships. So for those of you that don't know, it's our weekly group coaching program. And once in a while, we open it up so that people like you, our guests, can come join. So that's what this night is. I really invite you to leave whatever was going on before you walked in here at the door. We were talking about this in our team meeting. Like some of you are here in relationship, and some of you are in relationship and you're here without your partner, but you might want to bring more intimacy into the relationship. Some of you are single. There's other places on the spectrum. It's 2026. We could be anywhere. This is for you, because you're in this room right now. So I invite you to go full on. We are going to meditate. We're going to guide you through practices. There'll be a chance for questions towards the end. Those of you that are new will have an opportunity to find out how you can learn more with us beyond tonight. So like, this is like, let's put everything into this. That's my guidance.
And then we're going to have a party at the end of it.
at the end.
That's
Yes.
a pretty, isn't that a good, evening, right?
Yeah,
We must all be pretty smart.
we are. We are. A good way to spend a Wednesday night.
Yeah. All right. I want to start with, and again, the night's going to be experiential. We're going to talk a little bit to create some context, but mostly you'll be doing practices with yourself or with a partner, however you want to do it. But let's talk a little bit about what tonight is not. So you could take spirituality and divide it into two camps. You could divide it into a more ascetic camp, and you could divide it into a more tantric camp. Okay. An ascetic camp basically means it's spirituality where you really focus on the invisible, um, the deeper realms, consciousness, love, life, like that, and you don't focus so much on a day-to-day rituals, relationships, much less sexuality. It's a great way to develop spiritually. I spent a significant amount of my time in environments, Zen monastery and so on, where that was the focus. It's a really good approach. I'll read a little paragraph about that I was reading today. I thought it would be relevant. That approach doesn't really work with the passions and the visceral energy and sexuality and relationship. What you could call, it sounds a little demeaning, but you could call the more animal parts of ourselves. Okay, and I'm saying that because it's the phrase the author uses. This is an author called Almas, A.H. Almas. He writes, the animal soul, this is the animal soul in Sufism, the sensual soul in Christianity, the irrational soul in Kabbalah and Hasidism, and the desire soul in Hinduism. These traditions see this primitive soul manifestation as the primary barrier to spiritual development because its drives and instinctual appetites form the most formidable impediment to the inner journey, always orienting the soul away from her inner aim and promising her sensual satisfactions. This is the reason why many of these traditions have developed inner disciplines and ascetic practices to do their work, with the understanding that subtle spiritual discrimination happens much more easily when the soul is purified of her animal tendencies. Okay, so that's one way to go about spiritual development. And it can be very effective. And some of my heroes are in this vein. And I have a picture of Ramana Maharshi. I don't know if anybody here knows who that is, but I have a picture of him by my bed. He's one of my heroes. I get all kinds of transmission from him. It's pretty awesome. Then about 1,000 years ago, there was a reaction to this approach because this approach mostly worked for people who removed themselves from society and went and lived in temples or caves or something like that. And then people would go sort of visit these people and, get something and then kind of go back into their lives. And it created kind of a class system, if you will, like the spiritual people and the not quite as spiritual people. So there was a reaction to all that. And Tantra went, as a movement, went through most of the traditions that he just mentioned, Buddhism, Hinduism, etc. And what Tantra basically is an approach to spirituality where we don't avoid the body. We don't avoid the passions. We don't avoid sexuality. We don't avoid rituals and practices like cooking. It's a very kind of inclusive, in the world approach to spirituality. And I like it because I like to have sex. I'm really into sex.
Yeah.
I like women, I like sex, I like chocolate, I like all the rest of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The other approach, I did it. I got pretty good at it, but like it just didn't quite fit for me. And I think in today's society, for many people, we need, you got all the sex you want to watch on your phone in your pocket, right? You got, a liquor store on every corner. You know, you got men and women everywhere and turn on going back and forth and advertisements of sexy people and Vogue. Like, we're not going to escape the passions. So the tantric approach is to go through the passions and really embrace them. It's a very non-dual kind of approach. Like, this is it. You know, the way we are is it. This is it here. All parts of us like that. And, you know, that's just how I like to do it. Now, you're here at this class, so maybe that's how you like to do it, you know, also. So we're doing that tonight, and there's nothing wrong with the other side. The other side is awesome, but it's just not this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do before we do partnered exercises is we're going to do a little Kundalini practice. We're going to bring up the energy. So what I'd like you to do is sit in as upright of a posture as you can. It's going to be a little bit of muscular exertion for a moment. Alicia and I will do it with you. So sit very, very upright. Sense your body. Because the tantric approach really uses the body. You know, we're not trying to get away from the body. The body is as much God as everything else is. So really sense your body, really feel your body. Notice that if you put your attention in your body, something kind of activates, some energy activates. Somatic experience is the rage nowadays in spiritual circles and psychological circles, in trauma therapy. If you just sense your body, you'll notice that things change quite profoundly. It takes a moment, like the snow in a snow globe gradually settling. But there is a shift. Things become more rich, more present, more real, more here. Now, what I'd like you to do is very slowly lift your arms until your arms are up above your head, and then really stretch through your fingers. So all of your fingers are super duper straight, like that. Okay. Little bonus, you can see my belly right there. Okay. So really,
Especially the people on Zoom, it's like right there. They get to see it.
And you'll notice the heat starts to build. And then straighten your elbows, and the heat builds even more. Let the heat build. And feel your pelvis. Right, if you're on Zoom, good. You guys are doing it too. That's great, except for Ellie. Get those arms up. All right, good.
She said, "Who knew Erwan was such a good belly dancer?"
Oh, Ellie's giving me a little
shimmy, shimmy.
Shimmy there. All right, good. And then now it's not about muscular strength. It's really about exertion. So just to the best of your ability, stay with it. Straighten the elbows. Your arms may need to go a little out to the side. That's fine, but try to keep them up if you can. Lift the chest. Let the shoulders come down. So the arms are going up, but the shoulders are coming down. Elbows are straight. And then feel your pelvis, right? In Kundalini, your pelvis is like a battery pack. Feel that battery pack. Breathe into your hips. We'll go 10 more seconds. Breathe into your hips. Straighten those fingers. Now lift the shoulders, reach all the way to the ceiling, touch the ceiling, go all the way, and release. Okay, good. All right, so there's more aliveness now. There's more embodiment. Stay with that. Don't leave your body. Stay with your body. Stay with your pelvis. Stay with your hips. That's easier said than done. Now, if you feel your pelvis, it's got a different energy signature than your heart. Like if you feel your chest, kind of feels different. Feel your pelvis, kind of feels different. Feel your legs, kind of feels different. Feel your head, kind of feels different. For now, let yourself really sense your pelvis. Really breathe into it, feel it, notice it. Let that energy that you moved kind of settle into the belly and even below the belly. And I'm going to do it with you. Nobody's going to know whether you're doing it or not, so you might as well do it. But of course, it's up to you, just like everything tonight. And I'd like you to do a Kegel. Clench the pelvis and pull up, like clench the anal sphincter, pull it up and in, and then do the opposite. Push it out like you're bearing down, like you're having a baby, like you're using the restroom. And then pull it up and in again. And then push it out, widen it. Let the sits bones spread apart. And then try that a few times on your own. I'm doing it with you. Nobody's going to know whether you're doing it or not. We're all doing it together. These are voluntary contractions. Okay? You're moving the pelvic muscles voluntarily. Outward, spreading, pushing out, inwards, Kegel, pulling in, and you're just experimenting with that. Voluntary contractions. Now, for a moment, just stop and see if they just continue for half a second or a second. And then when they stop, just continue doing them voluntarily, pushing out, pulling in, pushing out, pulling in, and experiment. Does it work? Is it pleasant to do it very intensely? Is it, and a gentleman just came in.
Hey, Mark, you can
Yeah.
have a seat in a chair right next to Bio. She'll open it up for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
Good to
Welcome.
see you.
Yeah. So just pushing out, pulling in, voluntary contractions. And then whenever you want to, just occasionally stop and see if there's not an echo, a little bit of involuntary movement. Even if it's just energetic. Maybe it's muscular and an involuntary contraction happens or two, or the beginning of one, or maybe it's just energetic. Maybe it's even just conceptual. So play with that, voluntary contractions and then pausing and then seeing if that leads to any type of involuntary contraction. Experiment, playing, keeping your inner critic out of it. Involuntary contractions are the hallmark of orgasm. When somebody's having an orgasm, the genitals are involuntarily contracting. There's release. Typically for women, there's 9 to 12 involuntary contractions. For men, there's typically 6 to 9. For the woman's introitus, which is the vaginal opening, it involuntarily contracts, including the anus. It's a figure 8 muscle around both, involuntarily contracts typically 9 to 12 times. For a male, the anal sphincter will involuntarily contract and the penis will also involuntarily contract, but it'll tend to go up and down, typically for 6 to 9 times. That's what orgasm is. Now, if you're turned on enough and feeling your genitals, you will have a peak orgasm. 6 to 9 or 9 to 12 involuntary contractions, then you'll come down, and then, you know, you'd be at a lower state of energy. If you stay relaxed and you keep feeling, and here's the punchline, you approve of what's happened, even if you just conceptualized, or it was only an echo for a second, or you had one, or you didn't even understand what I meant and you didn't feel anything. It was all totally numb, but you approve of that. Then next time you do it, you'll have more of that. Okay, and this is fundamental in Tantra and in Kundalini, activating the pelvis and the sexual energy, getting that moving. Because it doesn't just turn you on sexually. Yeah, it turns you on sexually, but it also turns you on to life. It's like plugging in the battery pack. Now, as much as I do have a picture of Ramana Maharshi by the side of my bed, and it's never happened for him because he was, I think, beyond all that. But for a lot of people who take the ascetic approach, when they come down the mountain, you know, they haven't really handled all that energy, and then all that energy comes back, and then they maybe misbehave, or, you know, whatever happens, right? So we're taking an approach of really leaning into that energy, really feeling that energy. You have to have your attention in your pelvis. You have to approve of what's going on. You have to keep your inner critic out of it. It has to be a somatic experience in your vital center, in your sexual center. If that simple practice that we've done individually, we'll do practices together soon, but if you just keep practicing that the way that I just described, your orgasm will get bigger and bigger and longer and longer. And if you bring your heart into it and your spirits, then it's a very, very powerful way to spiritually develop, because you have all this energy and, you know, strength, power moving through your body. And if you're in a relationship, through your love life and your sex life, and it just, you know, like things just really start to take off. Okay. So let me ask you, and on Zoom, you can text in, you know, we'll check the chat.
Chat, yeah.
What are some of the key ingredients or key aspects that we've covered so far? Okay, before we kind of let you loose on each other, right? what have we covered so far as key ingredients to tantric practice and yogasm? Who'd like to say? Approval. Right? Maybe the most important.
Focusing. So we've got presence, being in your body, focusing energy.
Noticing your pelvis. Right? This is not rocket science. Right?
Mark.
Involuntary, right? Getting to that point, doing all that stuff, so it becomes involuntary. Passions, right? Like embracing the passions instead of splitting them off, cutting them off, right? What does that do for your sex life or your relationship life or your dating life if you cut off the passion? Doesn't do much. It's dry, right? It gets very dry, literally, right?
Yeah, literally.
Right? Dries things.
We got some here: relaxing, being fully present, noticing your body, leaving your inner critic out, and priming the pump.
Priming the pump, right? That's what the voluntary contractions do. They kind of move some energy through there, prime the pump.
Yeah.
So you understood, I think, you know, most or everything that I just said. Tantra is about doing. It's a practice. Okay. So our invitation is for the next hour and a half, do these things, experiment with these things. You will not think your way to yogasm. It will not happen. There is no insight that will lead to it. You will not have some big aha and da, da, da. It will be a function of, okay, am I feeling my pelvis? Am I approving? You know, am I priming the pump? Right? It'll be
Focusing
a function
energy.
of that. And this is a safe place. We will make sure that it's safe. Okay. This is a safe place to play with that for a couple of hours. And then maybe you want to take it into your life. And if you do, what I can promise you is that things will really take off. All right. So we're going to now have a sort of nonlinear jump to partnered practices. If you're here with your partner, we strongly recommend that you stay with your partner. Okay. Otherwise, they're going to get upset and, the evening could just, go south on. All right.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah. We're like very big on partnership and commitment and, that kind of thing. All right. Now, but we are going to do an exercise in partner selection where everybody gets to practice their yes and their no. And everybody's going to get up and mill around and say, oh, would you like to be my partner? And we'll have you say no, and then we'll have you say yes, and it doesn't mean anything. It's just you're just practicing, right? And then it'll be for real. When it's for real, if you came with your partner, find your partner. Okay, say no to the other people, and find your
Yeah.
find your person.
And then those of you online, I'm going to be putting you in breakout rooms. Those of you that are here with your partner on the same device, just stay in the main room. You'll follow along. And then those of you that are not, you'll go into a breakout room with a pair, and we'll tell you what to do once we're all situated here.
All right, so everybody, please stand up. People are going to walk around, so make sure your phone's not on the floor. You don't want your phone stepped on. We'll put a little walking music, mill around, walk around, wink at each other, or, just have fun. Any That's great. All right, and then ask somebody, would you like to be my partner? And then tell them no. So you can say yes. All right, so for those of us who are on Zoom, you're going to be facing each other, but your eyes are going to be closed. For those of us in person, you're going to sit back to back with your partner and have your eyes closed. The first step, whether you're here in person or at home, is let your eyes be closed and contact yourself, your physical self, your emotional self, your mental self. It really does not matter the shape of yourself. Maybe you got a skinny self, maybe you got a bigger self, maybe you got a wounded self, maybe you got a blissed out self, maybe you got a bored self. It really doesn't matter. But it does matter that you're in contact with yourself, all the way down to your knuckles, not a mental contact, but an actual felt sense. Now, first, please notice your head center and that your partner's head center is near yours. If you're in the room, it's physically near yours. If you're on Zoom, it's experientially near yours. You've got your head center, a very advanced development of spirit and evolution. And you got somebody else's. If you really acknowledge that and let that in, that's a profound experience, actually. Let's go through the chakras and go down to your throat chakra, the little notch in the throat, and just notice that you've got that area. It feels how it feels. The experience there is what it is. And somebody else is having that experience either a few inches away from you or facing you on Zoom with their eyes closed. And you've both got this center of communication. It's a miracle. And then if you drop about 3-4 inches down from there, there's your heart. We don't know of anything more sensitive, more at the center of things, at the heart of life than your heart. Not only have you got one, but your partner's got one too. So letting yourselves really feel that contact, whether the contact is physical, you're back to back, or the contact is experiential on Zoom. And then if we drop a few inches below that, we have the solar plexus, often described as an energy center, sometimes an emotional center. What does that feel like for you? And then you've got a partner who's got one too. What's that like to include that in the field of your experience? Because that's really happening right now. It's not imaginary. It's not like all the ideas and thoughts and plans we have, which are mostly imaginary or sometimes even judgmental. Like, no, there actually are two solar plexes there in contact. And then if you go down to your belly, right, the second chakra, the belly center. Belly has to do with the body and physicality. Your body is a miracle. Your partner's body is a miracle. It's what allows you to be present here and experience your heart and your mind and your spirit. You're here, present. You're present. You are presence. Without a manifestation, there's no presence. The body center is very discounted and disregarded in not just many spiritual traditions, but in many cultural, societal traditions and cultures and so on. Your body, your partner's body, bringing that into the field of your experience. And then the part of you and your partner that's even more discounted, the vital center, the sexual center. Usually we just got that totally numbed out. Don't feel that. Don't acknowledge that. Don't talk about that. But that's how life creates more life. That's how we get sexually turned on, but also just turned on, just energized. It's one of the keys to having a successful relationship. Alicia and I have been together for many decades, and you gotta feel your pelvis. That was one of the things that you all said we covered today. Now you're experiencing it with somebody else experiencing it with you. What's that like? And then experiencing the whole field between the two of you, whether you're facing each other, eyes closed online, or here back to back in the room. You've all got your own fields of experience, your own relationships. Some of you long standing, some of you just for tonight. Kind of a big deal. And in this moment, you're not taking that for granted. You're not missing that. We spend so much time focusing on, oh, did I get this work project done, or I got this parking ticket or whatever. Sometimes we miss the obvious. So really noticing, palpably, somatically, feeling the connection with your partner. Now, in slow motion, we'd like, in silence, those of us who are in the room to turn and face each other, and those of us who are in Zoom to slowly, in slow motion, open your eyes. So take a moment to do that. And we're going to guide you to describe what you're experiencing in each of those parts of yourself to your partner. You can't do this wrong. It's fine if you're feeling numb or turned off. It's fine with us if you're feeling full of hate, whatever it is, really okay. All right. But, there's also going to be love or maybe turn on or fear or bliss. You just see what comes up. Okay. Let's just randomly have people with the darker hair go first. If you're talking, we'd like you to have your eyes closed. So on Zoom, the person with the darker hair talking will have their eyes closed. The person with the lighter hair will have their eyes open. It's the same thing in the room. And you can start with the head center. Just describe what you're experiencing. in your head center to your partner. Go like 10 seconds with that, and my head feels spacious or empty, like I home and on, whatever it is. Tell your partner. And then when you're ready, go to the throat. What are you experiencing in your throat? And then what are you feeling in your heart? We'll give this one a little more time. And then what are you feeling in your solar plexus? No. And what are you feeling in your belly? Can't do it wrong. Belly is top, fine. Belly is feels like a planet. Eating something. And then the most fun one, but the most discounted, what are you feeling in your vital center? What are you feeling in your pelvis, in your genitals? Take your time. Take a breath. Notice how that there's a lot more love and energy and vitality and honesty and relationship and really coupled with it. Here, you control.
So those of you that are going to be speaking, you can let your eyes close and start describing what you feel in your head space, your head center. And when you're ready, you come on down to your throat chakra. What are you sensing there in your throat chakra? And when you're ready, you can come down into your heart chakra and describe what you're experiencing there. And then let yourself come down into your solar plexus. Describe what you're sensing and feeling in the moment.
And then you can switch to the belly. You're sensing in your belly button.
And now let yourselves sink into the vital center, the chakra in your hips, your pelvis, the vital center, and describe what you're sensing.
All right, and you can wind that down and then slowly turn your chairs towards the front of the room and noticing how the field of your relationship with your partner has shifted. Might be more enhanced or richer. Maybe an issue came up that needed to come up. If issues come up, they need to come up, right? So maybe that happened, and that's something you need to explore and look at. But there's more reality, more depth, more understanding, more sophistication, more experience, more inclusion. We're going to give those of us who are online an instruction for your exercise, and we'll send you off to do that. And then we're going to give all of us an instruction for the exercise in here, and Alicia and I are going to demonstrate it.
Those of you that are on Zoom on the same device as a partner, you're going to stay in the main room with us. You will not go off into a breakout room. So just stay in the main room. The rest of you on Zoom, you'll be in a group of about 4 people. You're going to do a cyclonic inquiry. You're going to pick a timekeeper. I'll make sure there's someone in your room that's done this before. And you're going to go around and say a 1-line answer to this prompt, and then the next person goes. You go around and around until the time is up, and then you'll switch to the next prompt, and you'll reverse the order that you're sharing in. The 2 prompts are where I get blocked sensually and what's possible in my sensual life. So you'll do both of those for about, I'm thinking 7-8 minutes each.
7 or 8 minutes each, yeah. And then maybe discussion afterwards, just in case we have some extra time.
Yes. So that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to put you into your breakout rooms. I promise you someone in there will know what they're doing. Why don't you give the instructions to the people in the room now?
All right. So Alicia and I are going to demonstrate something.
I do need a minute to put them in their rooms first. So
Okay.
maybe talk
All right,
about
we'll
it for a minute.
Chat amongst yourselves.
Okay. This should be kind of close to us, so the couples online can hear. All right.
We're muted then.
All right.
All right. Discussion finito. Bring your attention up here for a moment. We'll have more time to discuss briefly. So one person's going to sit up, one person's going to lay down. Let's have you come maybe a little bit further down. Right.
Tilt the camera a bit, Sharish, so the online couples can see.
All right. So one person's going to sit up, one person's going to lay down. After 7 or 8 minutes, you'll switch roles. First, each of you wants to take a minute to get in contact with yourself. That part is usually skipped in sensual contact. That's a terrible thing because you can only be as in contact with somebody else as you can with yourself. So you want to take a moment, really get in contact with yourself, like all your parts, your physicality, your emotionality, your mind. And we've let you off the hook, but as far as I can tell, reality has let you off the hook, spirit, God, whatever you're into. As far as I can tell, God, spirit, life accepts the state that your body and mind and heart are in completely with no judgment. So you let yourself really be there in each of your positions. Then the person who's laying down is going to pick a body part or several body parts that they're comfortable having touched. If you didn't come with your romantic partner, you should exclude the erogenous zones like the nipples, the genitals, the lips, that kind of thing. If you did come with your partner, you can include those parts. Okay. So you pick something that you're comfortable with. Sometimes less is more. If you're unsure, go for a little less. Go for an arm or something like that. Now, the kind of touch is going to be a slow, conscious touch. Okay. This is what Tantra is. It's slow, not really slow necessarily. Sometimes you go fast. It's easier if you do it slow, but conscious touch. In this case, go slow. Okay. So let's say Alicia picked
my belly.
Your belly. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to approach her belly slowly.
You can feel so much heat coming from your hand already.
When your body shivered, it sent like an electric lightning bolt through my. It's like one of those resuscitators. Okay. I'm glad you're alive.
Life force.
You're my what that device is called.
Yeah.
Defibrillator. I have a living defibrillator.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very slow, conscious touch. And as you may have noticed, with discussion of what you're experiencing. You just discussed what you're experiencing in all your parts. Now you're going to discuss the touch as it's happening. It's another reason it's important to go slow so that what you're saying can match up with what's happening. Okay? This is not easy, right? This is yogasm. We've kind of thrown ourselves into the deep end of the pool. So go slow enough that you can stay with the description. I feel like a very pleasant kind of pressure on my fingertips, as if my fingers, as they're getting closer to, as if my fingers were like sort of going into like clay or Play-Doh or something, but it's like an energy kind of substance.
Very warm where your hands are and where they're going and around the side of my body towards my back. It's like heating up. I see these visuals of red and kind of speckles.
Now, the minute you said back, I started feeling my back, and then now I'm noticing the red in your sweater. What you say to each other will influence what you feel and what your partner feels. Now, by acknowledgement, remember we covered acknowledgement, by acknowledgement, your sensation will go through the roof, right? It's just like you buy the fancy coffee nowadays and it like, notes of raspberry and coffee and like, there's just all this acknowledgement of subtle things going on in there. And like, or you go to a fancy restaurant and it's, lettuce from Peru and, whatever. And it's like, wow, this is really great lettuce. So the acknowledgement will enhance it. Now, discounting, judging, that will crush experience. It will destroy. It's like an experience crush, right? So just keep your inner critic out of it. And like, even if you're feeling numb, okay, I feel really numb. Like it's kind of a Novocaine feeling. It's sort of soft. It's like, I even feel it in my teeth. And like, there's a lot to numbness experientially, actually. So you want to stick with that not even touching Alicia, we're having a lot of sensation. Yeah. Now, within the prescribed area, right? You may really want to go to the I don't know, I'm French originally, l'area interdit. Don't go to l'area interdit. The how do you even say that in English?
What's it called? I don't know. How do you say it? I don't know.
Anybody here speak French?
Anyone know?
Forbidden.
Forbidden. Right? Okay. Yeah. Right.
Unless your partner has said, go to the forbidden area.
Yeah, the forbidden.
Don't go there. And only if it's your partner. All right. Okay. All right. Keep it, keep it conscious. If you keep it conscious, it'll be very safe. All right. Now, you can go to actual touch. So this is light touch and energetic touch. And you could go to actual, like, touching kind of, ooh, boy, that's like very soft and tender and sends this nice thing going up through my arm. And
it's like a soft electricity. It's so warm. It's incredible at your fingertips. Wow.
And I feel that in my heart. Boy, I'm like having this nice sort of swelling in my heart. I'm going to let my hand, and it could go to a kind of a heavier pressure, like a grounding kind of down pressure, but it's conscious touch, right? If you detect that you've gone unconscious or your partner has, just stop and speak and connect, right? Oh yeah, I went blew out for a minute. I got unconscious. Okay, yeah. Oh, now okay. Oh, now I feel your belly. That feels good. Oh, that feels so nice. Right? And you're kind of just experimenting with different touches. If you're conscious and acknowledging, there's something very interesting that happens, which is what feels good to you feels good to your partner. If you're not conscious, what feels good to you does not feel good to your partner. Okay? So that's a big kind of place to practice, right? So make sure any agenda goes out the window and presence and consciousness kind of dictates things. All right. So we're going to play with that. We talked probably a little too much there. So just 5 minutes each way. We'll tell you when to switch. And let's have maybe the person with the lighter hair lay down first. Please.